Most people spend their lives begging for respect from people who do not even respect themselves. They wear themselves out trying to please the unpleasable or fighting back against insults that should never have reached their hearts in the first place. But there is a single mental shift, a decision you make once, that changes the dynamic of every relationship you will ever have. It is the realization that your worth is a fortress that no one else has the key to. In the next few minutes, we are going to explore the Stoic blueprint for ending the cycle of disrespect and reclaiming your power through the wisdom of the ancient masters. Welcome back to Virtue Over Chaos. Chapter 1. The Source of Your Power. To understand why people disrespect you, you first have to understand where you are placing your value. Most of us carry our self-esteem around like a fragile glass bowl, handing it to every person we meet and asking them to hold it carefully. When they drop it or throw it against a wall, we feel broken. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus was born into slavery, a life defined by the ultimate form of disrespect. He was owned by a man who could break his legs on a whim, and yet Epictetus argued that he was freer than his master. He taught that your will is the only thing truly under your control. If someone insults you and you feel hurt, you are essentially agreeing with them. You are saying that their opinion of you matters more than your own knowledge of yourself. The moment you decide, once and for all, that your character is the only thing that can define you, you become untouchable. Toxic people thrive on your reaction. They look for the crack in the armor where they can insert a needle of doubt or anger. When you realize that their words are just air and their opinions are just vibrations in the atmosphere, those needles have nowhere to go. You must internalize the idea that no one can hurt you without your consent. This is not just a nice thought to have when things are going well. It is a fundamental law of the Stoic mind. Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, dealt with backstabbing senators and manipulative family members daily. He wrote in his private journal that the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. By refusing to descend to the level of the toxic person, you maintain a position of natural authority that they can never take from you. Chapter 2. The Morning Preparation. One of the most powerful tools in the Stoic toolkit is called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. Marcus Aurelius began his days by telling himself that the people he would meet would be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. This sounds cynical at first, but it is actually the ultimate form of psychological protection. He wasn't being a pessimist, he was being a realist. He knew that toxic behavior exists in the world, and by expecting it, he stripped it of its power to surprise him. When you are surprised by disrespect, you react with emotion. When you expect it, you react with logic. Think about a doctor dealing with a patient who is screaming in pain or confusion. The doctor does not take the insults personally because they understand the source of the patient's distress. Stoicism teaches us to view toxic people in the same way. They are suffering from a sickness of the mind. They lack the wisdom to see what is truly good and what is truly bad. When someone tries to disrespect you, they are revealing their own internal chaos. If you've already prepared for this encounter in your mind, you can look at them with the same calm detachment a doctor has for a patient. You do this once every morning, and by the time you step out of your door, you are wearing a suit of mental armor that no insult can penetrate. You aren't being cold, you are being prepared. You are deciding that your peace of mind is too valuable to be stolen by someone who hasn't even mastered their own temper. Chapter 3. The Power of Absolute Silence. We often think that standing up for ourselves means having the perfect comeback or winning an argument. In reality, the most powerful response to disrespect is often no response at all. Toxic people are looking for a spark. They want to start a fire so they can feel the warmth of your attention, even if that attention is negative. When you argue with a toxic person, you are validating their behavior. You are telling them that their words are worth your time and energy. You are inviting them to continue the cycle. Epictetus used to say that if someone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer that the person was surely ignorant of your other faults, else they would not have mentioned these alone. This kind of wit and calm is devastating to someone trying to bait you. It shows that you are so secure in your own skin that their attempts to lower your status are actually funny to you. Silence is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of supreme confidence. It is the sound of a person who does not need to defend their ego. In the books of the ancient Stoics, we see time and again that the sage is like a rock in the ocean. The waves can crash against it all day long, but the rock remains unmoved. Over time, the waves tire out, but the rock stays. When you stop giving toxic people the hit of dopamine they get from your reaction, they will eventually move on to find a target that actually provides them with the drama they crave. Chapter 4. Setting the boundary of the soul. Setting boundaries is not about building walls to keep people out. It is about defining where you end and the rest of the world begins. Many people struggle with toxic relationships because they feel responsible for the other person's emotions. They think if they could just explain things better or be a little kinder, the other person would stop being disrespectful. This is a trap. Stoicism teaches us that we are only responsible for our own virtue. You can be the kindest person in the world and still be treated poorly. That is out of your control. The decision you must make once is to stop caring about the outcome of other people's behavior. You decide that you will act with justice and kindness because that is who you are, not because of how it will make others treat you. If someone crosses a line, you simply remove yourself from the situation. You do not need to give a long speech. You do not need to yell. You just stop participating. Seneca, one of the wealthiest and most influential Stoics, wrote extensively on the shortness of life. He argued that we are incredibly protective of our money and our property, yet we allow people to waste our time and disturb our peace without a second thought. Setting a boundary is an act of self-respect. It is saying that your time and your mental energy are your most precious resources. When you treat yourself as someone of high value, others will eventually follow suit, but even if they don't, it won't matter, because you have already given yourself the respect you were looking for from them. Chapter 5. Understanding the ignorance of others. One of the hardest parts of Stoicism is the idea that no one does wrong on purpose. Marcus Aurelius believed that people act in toxic ways because they are in the dark. They don't know any better. They think that being aggressive or disrespectful is the way to get what they want or to protect themselves. This perspective is a game changer. It is very hard to stay angry at someone when you realize they are fundamentally confused about how to live a good life. This doesn't mean you let them walk all over you. It means you stop hating them for it. Hate is a heavy burden to carry, and it binds you to the very person you are trying to distance yourself from. When you view a toxic person as someone who is mentally and spiritually lost, your anger turns into a form of pity or indifference. You wouldn't get angry at a blind man for bumping into you, and you shouldn't get angry at a morally blind person for being rude. This shift in perspective allows you to maintain your composure in the heat of the moment. You see the insult for what it really is, a symptom of their own internal struggle. By staying calm, you stay in control. You keep your dignity while they lose theirs. This is how you win the game of social dynamics without even playing it. You are playing a different game entirely, one where the goal is internal mastery rather than external victory. Chapter 6. The view from above. When someone disrespects us, it feels like the most important thing in the world. It consumes our thoughts and ruins our day. Stoics practiced a technique called the view from above to regain their perspective. They would mentally zoom out from their current situation, seeing themselves in their room, then their city, then their country, and finally the entire planet. From that height, the petty insults of a coworker or the snide remarks of a relative seem incredibly small. We are living on a tiny speck of dust in an infinite universe, and our lives are just a blink in the history of time. In 100 years, both you and the person disrespecting you will be gone. Their insults will be forgotten, and your anger will have meant nothing. Why give up even a single hour of your precious life to someone who doesn't matter? When you practice the view from above, you realize that the only thing that truly lasts is your character and how you chose to respond to the challenges of life. This perspective makes it much easier to let go of toxic encounters. You aren't ignoring the problem. You are just seeing it in its proper size. This doesn't make you a doormat. It makes you a giant. When you are a giant, the bites of ants don't bother you. You just keep walking toward your purpose, focused on the things that actually have an impact on the world. Chapter 7. Living with virtue over chaos. The ultimate goal of Stoicism is to live in accordance with nature and virtue. This means doing the right thing because it is the right thing to do, regardless of what is happening around you. When you commit to this way of life, You stop being a victim of your circumstances. You stop being a puppet that dances whenever someone pulls the string of an insult. You become the master of your own soul. Toxic people are a part of life. They have always existed, and they always will. Marcus Aurelius dealt with them from the throne of the Roman Empire, and you will deal with them in your daily life. The difference between a life of chaos and a life of virtue is how you choose to handle these encounters. By deciding once and for all that your worth is internal, by preparing your mind every morning, by using the power of silence, and by viewing others with a sense of detached understanding, you create a life that is immune to disrespect. You don't need to change the toxic people in your life. You only need to change your relationship with them. When you change, the whole world changes with you. You find that you have more energy for your goals, more love for your friends, and more peace in your heart. This is the promise of Stoic philosophy. It isn't about becoming a robot. It's about becoming a human being who is so grounded in reality that nothing can shake you. As you move forward from today, remember that every interaction is an opportunity to practice these principles. When someone tries to push your buttons, smile to yourself. They have just given you a chance to prove that your buttons are no longer there. You have done the work. You have made the decision. You have chosen virtue over chaos. Keep your head held high, not because you are better than others, but because you are the master of yourself. That is the highest form of respect anyone can ever achieve, and it is something you give to yourself every single day. The journey of self-mastery is long, but it starts with that one single realization. You are the only one who can truly respect or disrespect yourself. Everything else is just noise. Focus on your path, focus on your virtue, and let the rest of the world do what it will. You are the captain of your ship, and as long as you stay at the helm, no storm can ever sink you. This is the way of the Stoic, and it is the way to a life of true freedom and unbreakable strength. Thank you for walking this path with us at Virtue Over Chaos.